Hey Bears fans, we're back with an exclusive video and the latest updates on our beloved Chicago Bears. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. That way, you'll always stay up to date with breaking news and exclusive content. The buzz started quietly, almost like a whisper traveling through locker room hallways and social feeds, when Patrick Mahomes let slip a few carefully chosen words about the Bears that nobody was expecting to hear. In the tone of someone who knows how powerful his voice is, he didn't come out swinging with obvious praise or blunt criticism, but instead painted a picture that felt layered, thoughtful, and slightly provocative. People close to the situation say Mahomes sounded genuinely intrigued by the Bears, not just as an opponent, but as an idea, as a team trying to define its own identity in a league that rarely gives patience. He reportedly mentioned how facing them never feels simple because they carry a kind of stubborn pride that forces quarterbacks to think twice. At the same time, there was a subtle edge in his words, an implication that talent alone has not always translated into consistency. That mix of respect and challenge is what caught everyone off guard. Fans expected the usual safe compliments, but instead got a narrative that suggested Mahomes sees the Bears as unfinished, dangerous, and oddly compelling. It felt less like trash talk and more like a chess player analyzing the board, acknowledging strong pieces while pointing out gaps that could be exploited. As the conversation spread, the interpretation of Mahomes' reaction grew more dramatic, almost cinematic, because he didn't sound dismissive at all. According to those who heard him, he spoke about the Bears' defense with a kind of admiration that suggested long nights studying film and feeling the pressure of their schemes. He allegedly praised their physicality, the way they can disrupt rhythm and force improvisation, which, coming from a quarterback known for creativity, carries real weight. But then came the twist that fueled speculation. Mahomes reportedly questioned whether the Bears always trust their own strengths, hinting that sometimes they play not to lose instead of playing to dominate. That comment alone sparked debates everywhere because it felt like both advice and critique wrapped together. Some took it as a veteran champion offering perspective, while others saw it as a subtle jab meant to get under their skin. Either way, the idea that Mahomes would analyze them so openly made the rumor feel real and raw. It wasn't scripted praise. It sounded like the honest thoughts of someone who respects the challenge, but believes there is more left on the table for that franchise. What really amplified the surprise was how Mahomes allegedly connected the Bears situation to a broader story about pressure and expectation in professional football. He spoke, it is said, about how certain teams carry history like a heavy coat, something that warms but also weighs you down. In that context, the Bears were framed as a team constantly measured against past greatness, which can cloud present decisions. That observation came across as empathetic rather than arrogant, as if Mahomes understood the mental battles that go beyond the field. Yet, he did not shy away from pointing out that excuses do not win championships. The way he balanced those thoughts made listeners lean in, because it sounded like he was talking from experience. He has been in situations where every move is analyzed, every throw dissected, and he knows how thin the line is between confidence and hesitation. By placing the Bears in that conversation, Mahomes elevated them while also challenging them. It felt like he was saying they are closer than people think, but only if they embrace risk and belief in their own system. Another layer to this rumored reaction is how Mahomes supposedly highlighted individual elements within the Bears organization without naming specific players. He talked about leadership emerging in unexpected places, about voices in the huddle that can change the energy of an entire unit. Listeners interpreted this as both praise and a test, as if he were daring someone on that roster to step fully into that role. At the same time, he reportedly questioned whether the overall direction is always clear, suggesting that mixed messages can slow progress. This kind of commentary resonated because it sounded like something a rival would notice, not something usually shared publicly. The speculation grew that Mahomes was intentionally being transparent to spark a response, to see how the Bears would react to being seen so clearly. Some fans loved it, arguing that this is what makes him compelling, a star who respects the game enough to speak honestly. Others felt it crossed an invisible line, turning competitive analysis into psychological warfare. Regardless of perspective, the fact that his words could be read in so many ways is what kept the rumor alive and growing. As more people weighed in, the narrative evolved into a story about mutual respect disguised as critique. Mahomes, according to insiders, did not sound like someone looking down on the Bears. Instead, he sounded like someone frustrated by unrealized potential, which is often the strongest form of respect. He allegedly compared the feeling of playing against them to facing a storm that is not fully formed, powerful winds without a clear direction. That metaphor alone fueled endless discussion because it suggested danger mixed with uncertainty. It implied that if everything aligns, the Bears could be overwhelming, but if not, they remain unpredictable in a way that even hurts themselves. Coming from a quarterback who thrives on reading chaos, that observation felt meaningful. It painted the Bears as a team that forces preparation and humility. For a rumor, it carried an unusual amount of nuance, which made people believe there must be some truth behind it. Mahomes' reaction became less about a single comment and more about a mindset, a window into how elite competitors see each other when the cameras are not demanding sound bites. By the time the story reached full volume, it had transformed into a larger conversation about what praise and criticism really mean at the highest level. Mahomes' rumored words about the Bears were no longer just his opinion, but a mirror reflecting how teams are perceived by their toughest opponents. The surprise was not that he criticized them or that he praised them, but that he did both in a way that felt sincere and challenging. It sounded like the voice of someone who understands that growth comes from discomfort. Fans of the Bears debated whether to feel offended or encouraged, while neutral observers admired the honesty. In the end, this reaction added another chapter to the mythology around Mahomes, the quarterback who speaks with the confidence of a champion but the curiosity of a student of the game. And for the Bears, whether they acknowledge it or not, being analyzed so deeply by someone like him might be the most unexpected compliment of all. In the second wave of speculation, the tone of the discussion shifted slightly as people began to wonder what motivated Mahomes to speak the way he did about the Bears. Some believe it was a strategic move, a way to plant seeds of doubt or motivation, depending on how the message was received. Others argue it was simply honesty slipping through, a moment where the polished public persona gave way to genuine football talk. According to whispers from those close to the situation, Mahomes was relaxed, almost reflective, when he spoke, as if he were thinking out loud rather than addressing an audience. That detail matters, because it suggests the comments were not crafted to make headlines, but to express respect for the complexity of the opponent. He reportedly mentioned how preparing for the Bears requires discipline and adaptability, because they can change looks and moods within the same contest. That kind of acknowledgement is not given lightly. At the same time, he hinted that discipline must be matched by confidence, subtly implying that hesitation has cost them momentum in critical moments. This duality kept the rumor alive, because it felt like a message meant to challenge rather than insult. As the narrative grew, fans began dissecting every phrase attributed to Mahomes, searching for hidden meaning. When he supposedly said that the Bears make you earn everything, people heard admiration. When he followed that by suggesting they sometimes make things harder than they need to be, people heard critique. This back and forth became the heartbeat of the story, because it reflected the fine line between respect and rivalry. Mahomes' tone, as described by insiders, was calm but intense, like someone who understands that words can be as powerful as throws. He did not mock or belittle, but he also did not shield the Bears from accountability. That approach resonated with many, because it sounded like the way great players talk among themselves, stripped of media cliches. The rumor gained credibility precisely because it lacked exaggeration. It felt grounded, analytical, and slightly uncomfortable, which is often where the truth lives in competitive sports. Another aspect that fascinated people was how Mahomes allegedly framed the Bears as a team at a crossroads. He spoke, it is said, about moments in a season where belief either solidifies or fractures, and how opponents can sense that energy. Applying that idea to the Bears made the commentary feel almost philosophical. It suggested that Mahomes was not just evaluating schemes or talent, but emotional momentum. That level of analysis surprised many, because it revealed how deeply he thinks about the game. In this rumored conversation, he did not position himself above the Bears, but alongside them in the shared struggle of navigating expectations. Still, he did not shy away from pointing out that fear of failure can be more dangerous than any opponent. That line, in particular, sparked intense debate, as some interpreted it as a direct challenge. Was he saying the Bears play scared at times? Or was he acknowledging the weight they carry? The ambiguity only made the story more compelling. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. As reactions poured in, some former players and analysts chimed in, saying that Mahomes' approach sounded familiar to anyone who has competed at the highest level. They suggested that his mix of praise and criticism is often how elite competitors communicate respect. In that sense, the Bears being singled out in this way could be seen as recognition. Mahomes reportedly noted that there is a toughness embedded in their culture, something that does not disappear even during difficult stretches. Yet, he also implied that toughness alone is not enough without clarity of vision. That observation hit home for many fans because it echoed long-standing conversations about direction and identity. The rumor took on a life of its own, becoming less about Mahomes and more about the Bears' journey. His words acted as a catalyst, forcing people to confront uncomfortable truths while also acknowledging genuine strengths. Toward the end of the speculation cycle, the focus returned to Mahomes himself and what this reaction says about his leadership. He is often portrayed as endlessly positive, but this story revealed a sharper edge, a willingness to engage in honest critique. According to those who heard him, there was no malice in his tone, only intensity and respect. He allegedly concluded his thoughts by emphasizing that teams like the Bears are never to be underestimated, because adversity can forge something dangerous. That closing sentiment reframed everything that came before it. It suggested that his criticism was rooted in caution, not arrogance. He sees what they could become, and that potential commands his attention. For fans, this layered reaction felt refreshing, a reminder that football at the highest level is a conversation between minds as much as bodies. In the end, this rumored reaction from Patrick Mahomes left a lasting impression precisely because it refused to be simple. It was not a soundbite designed for easy outrage or applause. It was a complex reflection on an opponent that both challenged and respected them. The surprise was not that he had opinions about the Bears, but that he shared them in such an unfiltered way. Whether every word attributed to him is accurate almost becomes secondary, because the story resonated on a deeper level. It sparked conversations about growth, pressure, and the thin margins that define success. For a YouTube audience hungry for insight and drama, this kind of narrative is gold. It feels like listening in on a private moment, where honesty trumps politeness. And for the Bears, being the subject of such thoughtful scrutiny might just be the spark that turns speculation into motivation. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.